Join the OurGame Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material. The John Small incident from the weekend. Now, at all times, I'm looking for excuses not to send lads off. That's pretty clear. That's kind of a running theme here. But as I said, I was in the press box for, so that's the Hogan stand upper, right in the middle of the pitch, more or less between the 265s. And I'm in the lower portion of the upper tier. So I've got that perfect view, the same one that the commentators have that are doing it live on TV. And it's a brilliant view. And as soon as, when that ball went to Eoghan McLaughlin, you knew he's going to be in bother here in terms of it's a hospital pass. He's been put into trouble by his teammate. But as soon as a connection was made by John Small, I just said, red card. I didn't want a replay to know that. And I can't believe that the referee or linesman, just as a duty of care, didn't stop the play, that it wasn't a free, and that they didn't see that it was a red card. I had the same view of Richie Hogan's red card against Tipperary in 2019, and instantly I said red card. And you see the replay, and I saw the exact same thing. And then the same thing with the John Small one the other night. They didn't play a replay for a long time, which was fairly telling. And when they did, you were like, it caught him in the face. Obviously, there's the double fracture to the jaw, but it caught him in the face. That is the sort of tackle that is always going to be a red card. I'm not trying to besmirch John Small's character or anything like that, but it's just a red card all day. And if that same tackle happened in hurling, it's probably also a red card. Like I mentioned Richie Hogan's tackle. Earlier on in that same 2019 season, he bounced up when he was hit square in the head like that, and that probably should have been a red card. So, Richie did his best to get up straight away. But what were your thoughts?
You'd be flabbergasted at how the referee, having been involved in games for probably 20 years, doesn't realise whatever about, decisions made thereafter, that he doesn't realise the force of the tackle and how much someone is going to be knocked out. He was teed up for it. He was absolutely lined up for it. How the referee didn't stop play and didn't realise that, that he had a serious incident on his hand is, it's hard to really fathom, to be honest with you. I'm probably not in the same camp as you in that I didn't instantly think it was a red card. In hindsight, looking back on it, it did look like more of a red card. When you look at it another couple of times, the referee obviously doesn't have the benefit of that, but he does have the benefit of someone very close to him on the sideline, and two guys looking at it at the far end and two guys looking at it at the other end, even if he's not 100% sure of what the call was. So you'd imagine that a conflab between them all, they should have been able to come to a consensus of just how bad the tackle was. Now, the still photo looks very bad. There's no point in saying any different.
Are you talking about the one with the elbow?
Yeah.
He didn't hit him in the head with the elbow. Now, I think he hit him braced and bounced off with his elbow like that. But he was looking at the player receiving the ball. He went in. I've no doubt that he was just trying to plant him shoulder to shoulder. But whether it happened at the exact same time or he started by hitting him at the top of the shoulder and it slipped into the face straight away, you burst the lad straight into the face in the heel of the hunt. And I put up the slow-mo video of it, and there's a lot of Dublin fans out there who are very reasonable about this thing and say, fair enough, he's calling it as he sees it. Others are deciding there's an agenda or something like that, as if I would have an agenda against Dublin GA. Nobody stands up for him more than I do, to be honest. But I just thought, in terms of player safety, if you roll the dice and go in that hard, it is a red card for dangerous play. You took a gamble, and you took a gamble with another guy's safety. And
the only thing I'd say about the Conor Lane's decision is that having to make that in real time, you had a definitive decision made up when you saw it. He clearly had no decision made up, which is it's scarcely believed that he didn't realise how serious of an incident it was at the time. Because when you see a bone shattering tackle, and that's what it was. It was a double bone shattering tackle, and for him not to recognise that and see that is just unbelievable. I do think that had an impact on the game, in that I think he quickly realised when Eoghan McLaughlin had to go off just how bad that tackle was, and the fact that he was after making a massive mistake. And I think his mentality towards decisions in the rest of the game were swayed as a result of that. I don't think that's inaccurate to say. I do think he definitely leaned towards Mayo. The Colin Pascal black card, I didn't see that as a black card, I have to say, at all, to be honest with you. No, is he supposed to stop? Is he supposed to totally stop and get out of somebody's way?
He knew what he was doing.
He didn't jump in his way or anything. No,
he was.
Oh no,
he look,
I disagree with you on that. But it was an awful decision to make, and it could have been, you know, a total. It's obviously a game changer for Eoghan McLaughlin's season now, and like God only knows what sort of state he's in, having had an operation of that nature done, and when he won't play for the rest of the year, I'd imagine. But just for a referee not to recognise the seriousness of it and just, you know, hands up, play on, is, you know, it's unfathomable, really.
Do you think sometimes that GA ball codes can be almost unrefereeable? That it's, you know, when you're out there and you've run, I don't know, maybe he's run 10K at that stage, or maybe 8K or something like that, and he's in the middle of an unbelievably pressurized environment, that he's different members of his team of officials in his ear talking to him, that it might be a bit of a sensory overload, and it's not that easy to make decisions with clarity.
Potentially, it's also, if you even lose control slightly early in a game, all of a sudden things start snowballing. Like, I don't know if that incident would have happened. Maybe it would have had, but it's less likely to happen if, you know, other things were nipped in the bud earlier in the game and players realize that it's not open season and they can't get away with doing X, Y, and Z. If you let things away maybe that should be called, or you're not coming down as hard on a guy for a tackle or whatever as you should be, all of a sudden lads kind of think it's over. You've been in that in games.
It's open season.
It can descend into farce. And that's nearly what happened at different stages the other day. Even still, I can't get my head around the Rob Henley 45 and exactly what the reasoning was there.
Well, look, I was there, and this was my take on it straight away. Now, some people have said that there was like 16 players on the field. Some people said that Mayo had 16 players on the field. Some said Dublin, and both teams were making substitutions at the time, and it was brought back for that. Other people said that Philly McMahon had just come on, and he walked across the line of Rob Henley when he was taking the 45. Now, initially, he did seem to go in front of him, but by the time he hit the 45, my reading it was that Philly McMahon was about 20 yards away, and at that stage, players were moving around and whatever. I don't think it was that. What I think it was Kieran Kilkenny was maybe 15 yards behind where Henley was, and he was trying to move in the direction. Now, this was my take on it live, and then I feel it's been franked by what I've seen afterwards on the video replays. But he was trying to get towards Henley. Now, I don't know how close he was going to go, whether he was going to say anything. I doubt he was going to go.
He's hardly going to throw a GPS at him, was he?
No, and I don't think he was going to go in with a flying dropkick either. I think he was just probably getting a little bit closer. Pádraig O'Hora, who was marking Kilkenny, took a bit of exception and kind of tried to pull him back. So what I saw that happening, and it's just out of shot. And some Dublin fans would say he's so far away that he's out of shot, that he must be 15 yards away. How can he be affecting Henley? But I don't think you're allowed to be roaring at a lad when they're taking a free.
Not anymore. They've changed that actually recently, and you can even be yellow carded for that now. It's like, you know, talking to someone while they're taking a free or trying to put them off basically is like essentially outlawed now.
Yeah. So my take on it was that it was because Kilkenny was at something behind where Henley was, and then the referee went back and he started pointing at Kilkenny and having a word with him. So I think that that's the reason why. And as it happened, I was there thinking this is a problem. So I wasn't at all surprised to see that the 45 was taken again. And the cojones to knock it over after skewing the ball so badly the first time. I was like, how is this? Do you actually think the second kick was easier because he got the first one out of his system, or because he had messed the first one up so badly that, oh my God, his nerves must be even more shot now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the first part of what you said there. It's the second part. I think you'd be under more pressure nearly, because you're like, if the free he'd taken before that was a point over the bar, you have a good kind of memory of, this is what I did here. The one just before it was an awful shot. It went wide on the near side, like it's exactly what you don't want. And then just as well, and you know, like, remember there was articles done a couple of years ago questioning Rob Henley's character and this kind of bullshit. You know, for him to actually stand up and do that, when it mattered most. It was unbelievable. And even just to see the scenes after when he was greeted by his family and his girlfriend and that, and, you know, crying in their arms or whatever, it's great. And even just, I know this is a football or hurling show, just Dermot O'Connor's flying kick to save Henley's free going wide.
Have we ever seen anything like that in hurling?
No,
you know what I mean? Like, is there an incident similar where someone does something like defiantly and it somehow ends up in a score? You know, like an unbelievable tackle when they had no right or whatever. If anyone has,
I can't think of your man's name offhand, but the Laois guy in the under-20 game earlier on this year where he does that big dive. Is it Duggan? Was it Duggan? No, can't think.
James Duggan.
James Duggan, I think it was. Yeah, that's as close as just like someone like literally you're almost jumping out of your body.
Shawnee McMahon, one-handed.
Yeah.
Pulling on the ball.
That type of a thing, like it was phenomenal. And it went back out to McLaughlin, he put it over, and it kind of nearly turned the game. And it was just brilliant, yeah.
Join the OurGame Supporters Club at Patreon for €5 per month to get audio podcasts of the Hurling and Football Show and much more exclusive material.